Hello everyone, this is Victor here. Welcome to the Intelligent Investor channel, where you will learn about stock investing analysis and personal finance that will help you become a great investor. Since the pandemic that started in 2020, there has been an enormous demand for microchips. Everyone is staying at home more, working from home, playing more video games, upgrading their computers, investing more in CPUs and GPUs, either for their work, for gaming, or for crypto mining. All these factors have contributed to the enormous demand for semiconductor chips. In fact, there is a huge shortage of chip supply right now. ASML Holding is one of the major semiconductor companies that benefited the most from the enormous demand for semiconductor chips. The company locates in the Netherlands, but the stock is traded in the US Nasdaq. ASML Holding is a near monopoly. It makes deep ultraviolet DUV lithography and extreme ultraviolet EUV lithography machines used by all the major semiconductor companies such as TSMC, Samsung, and Intel. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I believe ASML stock will grow 2 to 3 times within the next 5 years by 2025, and I am going to cover these topics in this video. ASML stock performance, stock valuation comparison. First, long-term growth catalyst, near monopoly in DUV and EUV lithography systems. Second, long-term growth catalyst, an enormous demand for logic chips and memory chips. Third, long-term growth catalyst, European Union, China, and the US are investing billions in the semiconductor industry. ASML's risks to consider, key takeaways, and my price targets for ASML. If you like this video, smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification button. I will continue to make many excellent stock investing analysis and personal finance videos that will help you become a great investor. Let's start. In terms of stock performance, ASML performed very well in the past 5 years. Here is a stock comparison between ASML and its two biggest competitors that also make lithography systems, Canon and Nikon Corp. Both of them are well-known public traded companies in Japan. In the past 6 months, ASML stock increased 58.53% compared with Canon's 27.86% and Nikon's 8.97%. In the past 1 year, ASML stock increased 87.28% compared with Canon's minus 11.74% and Nikon's minus 23.08%. It gets worse if you look at their past 5 years stock performance because ASML dominates the entire lithography market. In the past 5 years, ASML stock increased 547.21% compared with Canon's negative 20.53% and Nikon's negative 47.59%. ASML operates in a market where the winner takes the most, if not all the market shares. Here's the catch. ASML is not a cheap stock. It's expensive compared with other semiconductor companies such as Applied Materials and Lam Research in the US. I want to show you these stock valuation ratios from Morningstar. If you look at this table here, you can see all these ratios including trailing 12 months PE, forward PE, price to earnings growth PEG ratio, and forward dividend yield. All these ratios show that ASML is the most expensive stock compared with Applied Materials and Lam Research. To be fair, we also need to look at their growth rates because companies with high growth rates generally have a higher price to earnings ratio. For example, according to Morningstar's data, ASML had the highest 3-year average revenue growth rate and the highest 3-year average net income growth rate compared with Applied Materials and Lam Research. All this means that ASML stock is traded at a huge premium, or you can say it's likely overvalued now because the company has a higher growth rate than its peers. ASML is a large growth company and is not a value stock. Here are the main catalysts that I believe will drive ASML's long-term growth in the next 5 years. The first thing you should know is that ASML makes deep ultraviolet DUV lithography and extreme ultraviolet EUV lithography machines that are used by all the major semiconductor fabrication companies in the world, including TSMC, Samsung Foundry, and even Intel. All the largest chip manufacturing companies in the world use ASML's DUV and EUV lithography machines to manufacture their 10nm, 7nm, 5nm, and the upcoming 3nm semiconductor chips. ASML's EUV lithography machine is the most important technology for TSMC, Samsung, and Intel to make chips smaller than 5nm, so Moore's law will continue. The famous Moore's law predicts that the number of transistors on a microchip doubles every 2 years. This makes chips much cheaper while making chip performance growing exponentially. Here's the important part about ASML's near monopoly in EUV lithography machines. According to modern intelligence, the extreme ultraviolet lithography market is highly consolidated as ASML is the only manufacturer of lithography machines that use extreme ultraviolet light. The company manufactures and sells its tools to some global semiconductor fabricators, including Intel, Samsung, and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC. Almost 25% of the company's revenues are generated by sales of EUV lithography systems, which reflects the company's monopoly in the manufacturing and commercialization of EUV lithography systems. This is from The Economist, how ASML became chip making's biggest monopoly. You can see ASML dominates with the largest market share in the lithography system compared with Canon and Nikon. The article states, with neither Canon and Nikon pursuing EUV technology, investors have concluded that ASML will enjoy its nanoscopic monopoly for a while. This is the second long-term growth catalyst for ASML. There is an enormous demand for logic chips and memory chips now. For example, if you look at ASML's latest Q4 2020 earnings slide, you can see ASML's total net sales have been growing steadily in recent years. ASML's current net sales growth is mainly driven by logic chips. Logic chips are CPUs and GPUs from Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA we use in our computers. Logic chips also include Apple's M1 chip and its A14 bonding chip in iPhone 12. RAM chips are memory chips such as DRAM we use in our computers. Again, ASML does not manufacture all these chips. ASML makes the DUV and EUV lithography machines used by TSMC, Samsung, and Intel. This is from the latest Q4 2020 earnings call. ASML CEO said, following a strong 2020, we currently expect another year of good growth in revenue and profitability in 2021. In logic, we expect another very healthy year driven by a further broadening of the application space, fueled by the global digital transition. Customers continue to see strong demand for advanced nodes, which includes the secular growth drivers such as 5G, AI, and HPC, high-performance computing, and in addition, and also driven by the digital transformation, we are seeing a strengthening demand for the more mature nodes across a wide variety of markets such as consumer, automotive, and industrial. While we're still very early on in the year, we think that with these demand drivers on full throttle for advanced as well as mature nodes, we expect logic revenue to be up at least 10% from an already very high number of 7.4 billion euro in 2020, with customers indicating stronger bits growth this year for DRAM around 20% and for 3D NAND around 30% to 35%. And taking into account lithography tool utilization already at high levels, we expect the recovery in lithography demand for memory to continue this through this year. Therefore, we expect memory revenue to be up around 20% this year from 2.9 billion euro in 2020. Although DRAM primarily uses deep UV technology today, we do expect our EUV shipments to DRAM customers to increase in the upcoming years. Then ASML COO also said, All in all, we started the year with robust demand across the entire industry and across all geographical regions. This should bode well for a double-digit upside from our 2020 revenue numbers. This means ASML CEO expecting that ASML will again have a double-digit growth in 2021, which is much higher than most semiconductor companies that have single-digit growth. Here's one interesting thing you should know about ASML's EUV lithography system, which I believe will drive ASML's long-term growth for the next 5 to 10 years as TSMC, Samsung, and Intel move to very advanced nodes such as 5nm, 3nm, 2nm, and 1.4nm. In 2020, ASML sold 31 EUV systems with a revenue of 4.5 billion euro for the year. This means each ASML EUV lithography system is sold for approximately 145 million euro. That's an enormous amount. Most smaller semiconductor companies cannot afford to pay 145 million euro for each EUV lithography system. Only the largest semiconductor companies in the world can afford it. This is one of the main reasons ASML only has several major customers. According to ASML's 2020 annual report, ASML said it has 3 largest customers, accounting for 80.1% of accounts receivable and finance receivables as of December 31st, 2020. ASML's largest customer accounted for 31.4% of total net sales in 2020. ASML's 3 largest customers are TSMC, Samsung, and Intel. ASML's long-term growth will be driven by the increasing demand for DUV and EUV lithography machines. As long as there is an increasing demand for CPUs, GPUs, RAMs, 5G networks, smartphones, electric vehicles, internal combustion engine cars, and thousands of other computing applications, semiconductor companies such as TSMC, Samsung, and Intel will continue to buy more DUV and EUV lithography systems from ASML. Because of the increasing demand for manufacturing chips, you can see ASML's lithography systems sold in units were steadily increasing between 2016 and 2020. This is from ASML's latest Q4 2020 earnings release. You can see ASML's net sales grew at a compound annual growth rate CAGR of 19.1% between 2016 and 2020. Its net income grew at a CAGR of 22.9% between 2016 and 2020, and its earnings per share grew at a CAGR of 23.54% between 2016 and 2020. Here's the third catalyst that I believe will drive ASML's long-term growth. Right now, there is an enormous shortage of chips caused by the pandemic that is impacting all the car makers such as GM and Ford, chip designers such as AMD and Nvidia, and all the tech companies such as Apple, Microsoft, and Sony. TSMC is planning to invest 12 billion in a fabrication plant in Arizona, US. Samsung is planning to invest more than 10 billion to build its own fabrication plant to compete with TSMC in the US. Last year, the European Union announced that they agreed to allocate 145 billion euro for digital projects. This is to build semiconductor fabrication plants and technologies in order to catch up to the US and Asia. China is also investing billions in semiconductor companies now. This is a part of China's 1.4 trillion 5-year economic plan in order to overtake the US in the leading edge tech such as 5G networks, autonomous vehicles, and now semiconductors. I believe all these investments in semiconductor tech in the US, Europe, and China will continue to benefit ASML because the major semiconductor companies will need to buy DUV and EUV lithography machines from ASML if they want to increase their wafer capacity to manufacture chips, especially the leading edge 7nm, 5nm, and upcoming 3nm chips. Before investing in anything, we also need to consider the risks. For ASML, I believe there are 3 risks we should consider. The first risk is that ASML's revenue is concentrated on very few customers. ASML's 3 largest customers accounted for the company's 80.1% of accounts receivable and finance receivables as of December 31st, 2020. If there is a decrease in demand for microchips around the world, ASML's 3 largest customers, TSMC, Samsung, and Intel, would not buy as many DUV and EUV lithography systems from ASML as before. The second risk is political risk. If the US-China tension escalates under the Biden administration, there could be more restrictions on ASML exporting lithography systems to China. In 2020, 18% of ASML's net system sales came from China, up from 12% in 2019. For example, according to Bloomberg, the Dutch government, under the pressure from the US, restricted ASML from selling the most advanced EUV lithography systems to China in 2020. The third risk is that ASML stock is likely overvalued or traded at a premium now compared with Applied Materials and NAND Research. But again, to be fair, ASML's revenue and net profit growth are expected to be higher than most semiconductor companies in the next 5 years. In summary, I like ASML's long-term growth prospects. I like its near monopoly in DUV and EUV lithography machines that are used by all the major semiconductor companies around the world. Even if ASML stock is traded at a premium now, I invested in ASML stock about 1 week before making this video. I am planning to invest in ASML for many years. I only like to invest in great companies I like the most for the long term. In terms of price target, as a reference, ASML's earnings per share grew at a CAGR of 23.54% between 2016 and 2020, and the stock increased 547% during the same period. I do not expect ASML stock to grow at the same high growth rate as before, but if ASML's earnings per share continues to grow at a CAGR rate of 23% for the next 5 years, I believe the stock will triple to around $1,783 per share. This is my optimistic case scenario. But if ASML's earnings per share grows at a lower CAGR rate of 15% for the next 5 years, I believe the stock will double to around $1,188 per share. This is my conservative case scenario. Again, all these estimates are only my opinions and they're only for informational and entertainment purposes only. You need to do your own research before investing in anything. If you like this video, smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification button. I will continue to make many excellent stock investing analysis videos that will help you become a great investor. Thank you for watching. This is Victor from the Intelligent Investor channel. I will see you in my next video.